just over a week ago, many of you asked me this morning, because many of you know that just over a week ago, I was skiing in Tignes, French Alps, with a group of guys. We go every January, mostly, have done for the past 14-ish years. I love the mountains. The mountains are like my happy place. And so we ended up praying for each other on ski lifts and just sharing a little bit of our hopes and dreams for this next year and what the Lord might have for us as we're leaning into that, trying to listen to his voice in that. There's about 2/3 of us who come from different churches and about a third that don't. So we have some great other conversations as well in and amongst all those. It's great. I did make one mistake while I was away skiing. I pulled up my news app. And honestly, I went from this place of serenity and happiness to like, the world's going to end. If it doesn't end, we're just going to have World War III. I was like, this is not a good place. And it got worse than that because I came back to work on Monday morning after 2 weeks off. And my computer said this. And so I knew that there was the run up to Christmas was busy. And I knew there was a whole load of things that I was like, I need to get that done. I need to get that done. I need to get that done. And Monday, honestly, by the end of, I had to strip everything off my laptop to start it again from scratch. So by the end of Monday night, I was literally grabbing 3 photos and then it would crash. Then 2 photos, then it would crash. And I was like, this is infuriating. How can an inanimate object, a piece of technology, create so much annoyance? So I went from this place of happiness to absolute, come on. And then the NHS very kindly sent me through this on Tuesday morning. For those of you who don't have eyesight that reads for that long, it says, I don't need therapy, it's just the winter blues. And I was like, there's an irony in that right there. Thank you, NHS. But it made me think about this morning. Two things. One is how we make sure the January blues don't become the February blues, don't become the September blues. How do we get our lives oriented in a way at this time of the year, the start of the year, in a way that will set us up well for the rest of the year? The writer of the Proverbs wrote this: where there is no vision, the people perish. But happy is he who keeps the law of God. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But happy is he who keeps the law of God. So this morning, I just want to bring us back to that place of what is our vision for 2026? And what does that look like amongst us as a church family, as a church community? Emma's here this morning. Emma's here to mark me, to make sure. She's been teaching me how to preach without notes. My iPad's not here, just in case you're wondering. And these are just props. So she's been teaching me to do a better job of what I have to do here with you guys. Emma very kindly came and sang for our Alpha launch party. If you're there, you might recognize it. You might go, there you go. It was awesome. Sadly, I wasn't there because I took her husband away skiing, but that's a whole a whole different story. Emma's great. Not only does she teach people anyway, and if you need some inspiration this morning, ask Emma at the end of the service about Alpha in the biggest women's prison in Europe, and she'll tell you some great stories. There you go. So I was on a Zoom with Emma. I'll put one of my props down. I was on a Zoom with Emma earlier this week, and what she said to me was this: a week last Friday was the first time she'd really connected with who we are at Epsom Vineyard, and she was talking about the people, and she was talking about the building, and talking about the event we put on with the Alpha launch party, and she said, "I could feel the love. I could feel the love," and I was like, "That's it. That's it." If you walked through the door this morning, you probably got an orange bag which has "You Are Loved" on it, and inside that there's a mug that says "You Are Loved" on it. My prop was going to be one of the pens. There's pens everywhere. There you go. Shocking. I'm just going to get inundated with pens now. So I'm on the Zoom with Emma, and she goes, "You are loved. It's even on the pens." There you go. It's even on the pens. So if you've stolen pens from Epsom Vineyard, you can even show them off on that. And anyway. You are loved. Our vision as a church has and always will be to share that message that you are loved. I am loved. You are loved. We want everybody in this. We started off with this borough, but now there's like, people come from like a 10-mile radius to here. It's just a little bit bonkers. And you're like, where do we? So we would like everyone who has some way of connecting with us here at Epsom Vineyard, through people, through your neighbours, through your colleagues, through the people you might meet on the bus or in the park. We want everyone to know that you are loved. That is literally our vision, simplified to 3 words. So I want you to remember some of the things I'm sharing this morning. So if I say you are loved, can you echo back to me, you are loved? Should we just try that? You are loved. You are loved. You are good at this game. I've got another 3 words for you. If I just said to you, our vision is you are loved, you go home and you go, great, that is nice. It's nice to feel that I'm loved, but what does that look like? What does that look like in practice? We've got 3 more words for you. I'm going to do the same again. So invite, belong, become. Invite, belong, become. So if I do invite, belong, become, you do. Invite, belong, become. This is brilliant. This is what I want you to remember. So when you're having your roast dinner later on, I want you to remember invite, belong, become. Fantastic. This, if you like, is the culture of who we are and what we want to be here at Epsom Vineyard. Was that a good mark or a bad mark? And they're linked. It's brilliant that Emma felt that she felt the love on the first time. If you walk through the door and you get a nice welcome and a nice coffee and a nice bag, it's great that you feel the welcome. But I want you to feel more than that. I want you to know that you are loved. And that takes longer. Go on. I want you to know that you are loved. And that takes longer. This is great. We can get this. So I'm going to unpack this for you a little bit, and then I'm going to talk to you about how that works here, how we hope that will work here for the rest of this year, our vision for 2026. Invite. This is a quote from Jay Pathak. Jay Pathak's the national director of the vineyards in the USA. He's got a very good job. One of the ladies in his church reminds him on a reasonably regular basis, thank you for inviting me to church without me coming 37 times. 37 times, I know. And she's had her life turned around, and this is a really good thing for her. 37 times. If that's too distant for you, my sister, I think, invited me to her church youth group, I think every Sunday afternoon for about 6 months before I eventually went. So it's probably not 37 times, but probably like 25 times. Okay, this is where the rubber hits the road. What if my sister would have stopped at 24? What would that look like? I met Lorna in a church. I might not know Lorna. We might not have our kids. If your kids played with our kids when they were little, they might not, they wouldn't have had that. In fact, if you're sat in this room now, I might not be in church, so you wouldn't be sat here. I don't know where you would be. Sonia shared some great stats with me. If you're on the youth team, don't shout out right now. At the end of December, I think it was, she'd gone through all the numbers of people who had, all the youth, 11 to 18-year-olds, who connected with Epsom Vineyard from September through to December, either in our morning services, our evenings, or our youth alpha. And she said, this is the number of people that have connected, youth that have connected with Epsom Vineyard. Can anyone guess? In fact, I tell you what, let's play a game of higher and lower. I'll give out a number, you shout back, higher or lower. So and we'll work out at some point, roughly, what we think. So if I say like 20, you shout out higher. Okay, so let's double it. Let's go to 40. Higher. Let's double it again then. 80. Higher. If you know the answer, you're not allowed to shout, by the way. We're still going higher, so let's keep pushing a bit more. 100. We're less certain now. Ooh, I want to find the tipping point here. Should we go 110? Well, there's a few of you are absolute optimists in the room. It is actually 110. 110 different youth connected with. It is worth whooping. We have a fabulous youth team, and actually we have some fabulous youth who keep inviting. There's not that many of the kids, the youth in our church whose parents are sat here this morning. We have a great team of inviters who are all 11 to 18. It's brilliant. So imagine if my sister had given up at time number 24. How many of those youth wouldn't have had an invite to whatever it is? To a youth alpha, to youth here on a Sunday morning, to a baptism service. Imagine how different life would be if my sister gave up at time number 24. I was pondering this in the week and I was thinking, what's the difference? Why did she keep going? There's a difference between an invitation and an inviter. Shall I go with that again? There's a difference between an invitation and an inviter. If you give someone an invitation, it's a one-off. If you're an inviter, you don't actually stop inviting, even up to 37 times. I'll let you into a secret here. I didn't want to go to my sister's youth group. But she kept inviting me to the point where I gave up. I was like, I've got to go. She knew what was better for me than I knew for myself. Does that make sense? There was a little moment there about 3 or 4 months after that when I started going more than my sister did. I was like, I'm beating you now. Invite. We should all be inviters. And it doesn't matter who you're inviting. Somebody needs to know they are loved. And that might come through an invite through you. Try my new zapper. Is it working? Can I have the next slide, Gord? My zapper stopped working. Belong. This is a quote from John Wimber. John Wimber was the founder of the Vineyard movement. He said this: people visit a church for many reasons, but they stay because of one: friendship. I should have blanked that out, so you've then got to call it out again. Should we try the call and answer thing? You've got to say friendship. I'll do the rest of it. People visit a church for many reasons, but they stay because of one. How do you know that? This is brilliant. Coffee. I did hear coffee in that. Friendship, if you're on the live stream, was the right answer, and that's what most of we were hearing in the room. Friendship. When you're inviting someone to here on a Sunday morning, you're not inviting them just because that's your job. You're inviting them into belonging, to becoming a part of what we already are. You're inviting them into your life, into your small group, into your friendship circle, into a place of trust. It takes time to build it, but that's what you're inviting them into. Become. This is a two-parter. This is a quote from Dallas Willard, author, philosopher, theologian. Discipleship is the process of becoming who Jesus would be if he were you. Can we say that all together? Read from the screen if you've got your glasses on. Discipleship is the process of becoming who Jesus would be if he were you. How powerful is that? That's part one of discipleship, is us becoming a little bit more like the person Jesus would have us be. There's a powerful message in that. If you're here for the first time and you're not normally in church, the message is simple. God, the creator of the universe, loves you. The creator of the universe loves you. But that makes a difference in your life because he wants you to be changed a little bit more into the person he made you to be. It's powerful. It's good. I'm a better person now than before my sister invited me to her church youth group. There's a second part to becoming. This is a quote from John Wesley, founder of the Methodist movement. The church changes the world not by making converts, but by making disciples. The church changes the world not by making converts, but by making disciples. When we all look a little bit more like Jesus, the world starts to look different. And actually, based on our vision for this area, that will pan out here as well. It pans out in our, wherever it is. The Methodist movement, I think, went to 138 different countries. John Wesley started preaching not far from here, up in the middle of London. And across this nation, he preached mostly to the working classes. The working classes weren't in church at the time. but we've never had more Christians per capita in this country than after the Methodist revival did its thing. There's a few other factors in there as well. There's still, I think there's still 80 million Methodists worldwide that want to change the way things are done. You might be from around here, you might think of the Stoneleigh Methodist Church up the road and there's Epsom Methodist Church in town. You might be going, the difference the Methodists made was huge. In this country, it was the first time, I grew up in Burnley in Lancashire. If you were working class in Lancashire, the Methodist revival was the first time your kids would get taught. Your kids, if you were poor, weren't taught until the Methodists came in Lancashire. So there we go. Invite, belong, become. You can do better than that. Ready? Invite, belong, become. Invite, belong, become. This is great. This is, if you like, the culture that we have at the heart of Epsom Vineyard. This is what is behind everything you see. So now I'm just going to spend a few minutes just unpacking what that looks like for this next year. In this coming term, we're on Sunday mornings, we've got just a story, a journey through the book of Luke. It's a whole sermon series that will take us up to Easter Sunday. If you want to know how to share the message, the gospel of Jesus with your friends, come every Sunday from now till Easter. And even better than that, invite them. Keep inviting them. Did you work out the color coding? I'm a visual learner, so anything in orange is an invite thing. Anything in green is a belong thing. Anything in yellow is a become thing. Does that make sense now? Some of you are going, So some of these things do multiple things, hence why we've got lots of different colors. The Alpha course we started last Friday. If you're still thinking about the Alpha course, or you've got a friend who you meant to ask but you forgot, and then you're like, it started last Friday. Classically, the first few weeks of Alpha, you can just keep inviting people. If you're our youth, they just kept inviting people just throughout the whole course. And it just kept going and going and going. It's fine. Alpha's 12 weeks. By the end of the 12 weeks, if you've got questions of life and God and anything, Alpha's a great space for you. If you're new to this church, Alpha's a great space for you. After 12 weeks, you will feel like you belong. And actually, with some of the questions you will wrestle with, hopefully, you'll feel like you're becoming slightly more, hopefully, the person that God made you. Alini and Rich very kindly shared about the bereavement journey. I did the bereavement journey this last term as well. My mum passed in June. My dad passed when I was 21. What I wanted to get out of it was to grieve better this time. I wanted to learn how to do that. There's not many places in the whole of life where you get to do that. We were skiing, as you saw. In my age group, most of us have got issues with our parents. They're either ill or dying or gone. It literally is a touch point, but it's a great place to invite people into where they can find a little bit of healing, freedom, or just understanding how to grieve better. I've put a little bit of green on there. I think after week 2, I was like, this is really bizarre. I feel like I belong in this. We split into little small groups. I feel like I belong in this small group because week 1, we spent it all crying and over our shared experience of death and grief. And week 2, we were like, okay, these are my friends now. It was a really it normally takes longer than that if you've ever been in any group setting ever. We've got our next baptism service on the 8th of February. If you've got a friend who's a complete skeptic and they're like, there is no God, science is everything, bring them along to a baptism service. Because in that place, you will hear what it looks like to belong to a church community and to become a little bit more like how Jesus would have you be. And while we're doing that, the sense of the power of the Holy Spirit in that room will be palpable. There'll be a sense of peace, a sense of family, a sense of feeling the love. Anne talked last week about John the Baptist being the warm-up act for Jesus. All of those things, to some degree, I've just talked about, are a warm-up act for Easter. Easter is the high point of the church calendar. Easter is a great place to invite your friends to, and they can find out what being Christian is all about. But the better thing to do would be to invite them to some of that other stuff, and then they can be warmed up, ready for the message of Jesus at Easter. And it's on every slide, at the bottom there, your life group. Your life group ticks all these boxes. You can invite people, if you're in the life group already, you can invite people into your life group. Life group is classically about belonging. But you don't just belong, it's not just friendship. It's the becoming part that makes the difference. You get to become a little bit more like the person you are supposed to be in a life group. You might not spot the change week in, week out. But if you took all the times you ever went to a life group and you put them to one side and all the benefits of that, and you came back as the person without a life group, you'd be going, that made a big difference. Over the course of my life, all those friendships I made, all of those things I learned, all of those things I processed, they made a big difference to my life. I probably wouldn't be here speaking this morning but for life groups, but for somebody taking care of me when I was a younger Christian and sharing the words of life with me. Life groups are powerful. Next term. Next prop. In our summer term, on Sunday mornings here, we are going to be going through Practicing the Way. My friend Brian, who sometimes preaches here, bought me this book just before my sabbatical. I liked spending time with Jesus before I read this book, and I liked reading the Bible before I read this book, but there's certain practices that this has helped me put in place. This is all becoming. All of it is becoming. There's certain practices that I put in place that have made me love spending time with Jesus and love reading an actual, physical, real paper Bible again. So we're going to do that in life groups. We've got an 8-session course, in life groups. And we'll be doing it here on a Sunday morning as well. That'll be the kind of key point for next term. We're running the Alpha course again. Classically, if you come to this Alpha course, you are more likely, statistically, to invite your friends to the next Alpha course. So we're going to run another Alpha course, probably on a different night, just to kind of make sure we give people the most opportunity to find out about that. If you did SOCM, School of Kingdom Ministry 1 and 2, for the first time next term, we're running School of Ministry Module 3. Be there. It will be awesome if you've done 1 and 2 already. And then when we hit the summer will be the first time we have meetings here over August. I say here, we haven't actually made that decision yet. We'll either be meeting here in August or we'll meet at the church centre, and we'll decide that in about Easter, depending on numbers and all sorts of the wind direction probably and stuff like that. Classically, summer is a time where people look for a church. And so we want to, statistically, we want to be in a place where we can be available to people who want to come and try out our church. And because of that, we're going to try and run, we haven't got this far yet, but we're going to try and run some barbecues and picnics afterwards so you can get invited into church, but then you can see what belonging looks like straight afterwards over a picnic, a shared picnic. Final term, the autumn term of the year. This is classically our inviting term. If you had a great time in our summer term with Practicing the Way, you might think, I want to do a bit more discipleship. I want to do a little bit more becoming. We're starting SOCM Module 1 again in September. If you've not done School of Kingdom Ministry, it's a great place to learn the reality of Jesus in your life, how the power bits work, how the healing bits work, how the prophecy bits work, how the identity, who am I as a child of God. We'll run the bereavement journey again. We've got Cause to Live For, which is our young adults. If you're not a young adult, young adults, be there. It's brilliant. It's a Friday, Saturday in normally the end of October. In November, there we go. For those of you who are a little bit older, if you've done Sockham, we took a team of 8 of us this year and went to serve our young adults. And it was awesome. There was a moment where I sat down in a chair and a lady that I'd never met before sat down next to me. And our job was to prophesy for 10 minutes over the young person who sat in front of us and rinse and repeat for about 2.5 hours straight. Honestly, it was one of the scariest things I've done for a while, and I do this for a living. And yet, the reactions that I got from the people in front of me was phenomenal. People were like, not quite how do you know that, but there'd be tears or there'd be a real sense of peace. There was a sense of, I have hopefully inputted into the life of a younger follower of Jesus. So yeah, cause to live for. Inviting term, we do light party, Christmas extravaganza, and rowdy carols, all at Metropolis. Sonia's booked the dates with Metropolis already. This is good. You might have come to our church for the first time through one of those things. It's a great way in. We've got our Christmas services, which are, again, a great way you can invite people to, but you can also belong here when you come to our Christmas services. I'm looking for Chubba and Susanna. I can't see them at the minute. They came for one of our Chris Dingle services for the first time just like 3 years ago, and they just never stopped coming. You can come along, you can be invited by a friend or by a friend of your daughter's, as it actually was, and you can end up belonging to a community that you feel grateful to be a part of. And your life group, it's on every slide. It's a great way of, you ready? Invite, belong, become. Invite, belong, become. There you go. So that's your little run through those things. 2 points. We're on a mission together with this. Where this worked well last year, so last Sunday morning, you've got Rob and James and Esther, some of our youth, talking about successfully inviting their friends to Youth Alpha. There's some of you in the room, and somebody invited you to something. One of Lorna's friends was invited to the Alpha launch party, loved it, signed up for Alpha. Bereavement journey. Alini asked us. She told us all about the Christmas services and the Christmas events. One of the ladies on the bereavement journey brought both her sisters and a brother and a brother-in-law and her niece and nephew and one of her kids to our Christmas stuff. So it was we want to invite, but we want to keep inviting. There's an old adage, before I finish that thought, there's an old adage which is, when you invite someone, make sure you know what to invite them to next. When you invite someone to church, make sure you know what you're going to invite them to next, because most people don't know how this works. If you've never been in church before, you're like, what's a life group? What's an Alpha course? Why would I do that? That's craziness. All those few little stories, all those people that got invited, none of those people that got invited would have come to something without you guys being there. So for the Alpha launch night, it needed someone on AV, it needed someone on PA, it needed someone providing the food, it needed somebody serving the food, it needed people to welcome, it needed people to set up. All our Christmas extravaganza, all our Christmas services, it needed you guys. Somebody needed to be out in the cold and wet, welcoming people in, and then somebody else needed to serve coffee. We do this together. This is literally something we do together. All I've got playing in my head at the minute, if you're as old as I am, the Blues Brothers film, there you go. We're on a mission from God. That's what's playing in my head at the minute. We are literally on a mission together. Then what will change if we do this well? So I was thinking about this, like this term, what would change if we do this well? By Easter, the Easter service we had here is our busiest ever service we've ever had. But if you've invited all your friends to all those other things and they come here and they've built up, they've been warmed up to Easter, imagine how busy this would be at Easter with all the people that sometimes come to church. We don't have a big church spire where people come to the parish church. We're not one of those. But we do have you guys. And you guys make the difference. You guys give the warm invite. You guys invite people into belonging. And you model what it is to become a little bit more like Jesus. Week in, week out. Invite, belong, become. You're good at this. Worship team, would you come back up? For the rest of us, if you're able to, would you stand? This is a verse. This is a verse that's been shared, if you like, prophetically with us for, I lose track of how many times. In fact, the first person that shared this, I know shared this before we planted Epsom Vineyard. And so what I want you to do is read this piece of Bible with me. It's a verse about preparing for growth. It's a verse about preparing for what the Lord will do and what the Lord has for us at this time. And it felt, I've not shared this yet on a Sunday morning, and I just felt the nudge. This year is the time to share this word. So could you all just breathe in and breathe out? Let's do that again. Breathe in. Breathe out. Last time, breathe in and breathe out. You are breathing in and out the presence of God, the air that God gave you to fill your lungs. Now let's speak this out together. Enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords. Strengthen your stakes, for you will spread out to the right and the left, as will your descendants.